Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the presentation of Human and Machine Communication version 2.0. This is a revised version, but it's much improved. But before entering into that, what is MPAI? It is an international affiliated nonprofit organization developing AI-based data coding standards, adding clear intellectual property right licensing frameworks. So who is MPAI? So, as I said, moving picture audio and data coded by artificial intelligence. The mission is the promotion of the efficient use of data by developing technical specification for two aspects: the actual coding of any type of data, especially using AI, and technology that facilitate the integration of such standards into more larger information and communication technology system. So this is the technical part, and this is the usage part. We try and bridge the gap between technical specification and their practical use through the development of intellectual property right guidelines, in particular framework licenses, as you will see in a minute. MPAI operates based on open international collaboration of interested parties, supporting the MPAI mission and the means to accomplish it. So that's one important element of MPAI is the fact that we would like the use of MPAI standard to provide, to improve satisfaction in users. And users want to know why certain things have been decided. And explainability is a very important element that are required of standard, in particular of AI standards. So how do we address that? So let's take the case where we have something that is called speech analysis. So this speech analysis takes a speech in and provides the text of what was being said and the identity of the person who is uttering the speech. So this is one element, but this can be usually component of a bigger system. And here you have an example where you have many of these modules that are a part of a larger system, interact, receive data, produce data, and so this is what MPAI does in terms of AI explainability. And the second part is what I have said, the fact that we want to make our standard accessible and timely available. We do that with the following process. This is very synthesized, that before initiating a standard, we develop a framework license. This is not a license, actually, because it does not have values, it does not have dollars, percentage, data, and so on. But the framework license declares that the eventual license will be issued not after the products are on the markets and at a price comparable with similar standard technologies. During the development, only any members making a contribution declares it will make its license available according to the framework license. So we know that the set of the technology is according to the framework license, and after the development, MPAI facilitates the selection by the members holding IP of the preferred patent pool administrator. And here you can have the patent policy. So these slides will be available on the MPAI website after this presentation. So two words about how exactly we develop the standard. So this will be a complement to what I've just said. So imagine that you have an idea. Around the idea, we see if there's an interest. We develop use cases. We develop the functional requirements of the standard. Then, and the interesting point is that these three steps are not restricted to MPAI members, but anybody can participate in this process. The principal MPAI members develop the commercial requirements. The combination of functional requirements and commercial requirements is what is used in a call for technologies. We have issued quite a few, and we will issue one in a couple of weeks. And after that, we use the responses to the call to develop the standard. When the standard is close to be ready for publication, we make an initial publication requesting comment to the community. After that part is finished, we go to the stage 7, which is the last stage, where we develop and publish the technical specification, and then also reference software conformance testing and performance assessment. So this is the rather complete description of the process. As you see, it is very, very rigorous, because at any step, we needed to have a decision of the members to move to the next one. So that so far is theory. This is practice, because this is the complete list of standards that have been approved by MPAI and published. The red one is the one we are talking about today, human and machine communication. And here you also see what has been done in terms of standard, software, conformance testing, and performance assessment. In the last column, that's interesting, because you see that we have 7 of our standards that have been adopted without modification by IEEE, and they have the number 3300, starting from 3300, which is multimodal conversation, closely related to what we presented today. That's not the end, because we continued developing new standards. For instance, AI for health is a new standard. If you take AI enhanced video code, that's another standard. There's a call underway, and others are new version of existing standard. Okay, so let's go now into the topic of this presentation, which is human and machine communication. So what does the standard do to improve communication of humans with machine? So the basic point is that the standard enables a real human to communicate with a machine. The humans are, you may say, in a very general setting. So a human in an audiovisual scene, and they are represented as digitized human in an audiovisual scene. The machines, on their turn, may be represented as visual humans in an audiovisual scene. Virtual humans in an audiovisual scene. The communication includes the possibility for a machine to understand the information semantics. No, not just the standard transmission of an image. No, we understand the information semantics, and we do that at different level of depth. Then the machine produces a multimodal response that is congruent with what has been said or what has been seen, what has been perceived. The machine further may act as an interpreter with another machine in a different context. It can be displayed as a speaking humanoid in a real space. It can be represented as a speaking virtual human in a virtual space, or can simply be a process that runs and you can interact with that process even though you don't see anything, but you have also the possibility that the machine is represented as a virtual human in a virtual space and then map it, display it as a speaking humanoid in the real space. So this is the communication setting between human and machine. And here you have several user scenarios. So here you see that we have a human in a real scene. This is perceived that goes to a machine and may be talking with another human here who is also in a real scene. You can also have, for instance, this human or this other lady here who can talk with a virtual human. And then you can also have say this lady who is talking with this machine, which is not seen as anything, not perceived as anything, but you perceive some form of response from that machine. So the human and machine communication is a container. At the moment, it's a container with just one element. We call these elements use cases. So we just have one use case, which is called communicated entities in context. This is implemented as an AI workflow, which is another standard that we have developed in MPAI that enables entities to communicate with other entities, possibly in different contexts. Wait a minute to know more about entity and content. So entity refers to one of these two things. It is a real human in an audiovisual scene, but can also be represented as a digital human in an audiovisual scene, or a digital human representing a human, which is a digital human in that case, or a machine, and in that case, of course, it is a virtual human in an audio scene, and that can be rendered as an audiovisual scene. So this is about entity. Well, the bottom line of what I said is that entity is used by the standard as a generic word to indicate both a human or a machine in different configuration have tried to convey. Then we have the notion of context, which is information that describes the attributes of an entity. That can be the language, can be the culture, can also be the environment in certain forms. So this is how things are possible with HMC for human and machine communication. And this is the block diagram. So you see, what you see here is what we call AI workflow in an AI framework. So you see that we can have a real scene that is described by this audiovisual scene description. But the machine can also receive something that is called portable avatar. Portable avatar is another MPAI standard, but it is a completely digital entity, because a machine can, of course, understand the real world, but preferably receive information that is already in the digital domain. So here we are perceiving the real world, and here we are perceiving or receiving information from another machine. The important point is that the output of these they are called AI modules in MPAI, is a data type that is called audiovisual scene descriptors. So it is the description of the scene. And it means that whatever the input, digital or analog, the output that is actually processed by HMC is always an audiovisual scene descriptors. So the audiovisual descriptor gets into an AI module that is quite complicated, as you will see in a minute. And it produces a set of data, for instance, the text. So something was said, and therefore here you have the text. Here you can also something that helps understanding what the text means. Then you have another entity that is very important. It's called the personal status. Think of emotion. So we can describe with this data type the emotion of the entity, because an avatar can also have an emotion. Of course, it is a fake emotion, but it doesn't matter because it's still something that we have to consider. Then we have the description of the environment, so the geometry. So which objects are where, and here are the objects that have already been identified for their nature. All this gets into another box that has the task of providing a response. Here we are providing a lot of information here. And the answer is simply the text, what the machine does response in terms of text, and meaning is again this other data type that explains better what is the meaning of the text. So this goes into a translation because it's possible to have a translation. So the source here is in an environment, and this is another environment, which we call context. And then we have the personal state of display, which is another AIM, whose goal is to receive personal status, text, it can be the original text, it can be the translated text, and provide, again, a portable avatar, which is exactly the same format that we have at the input here. And the output, the final output is a speech, audio, visual, and text. This is, or it can also be a portable avatar in case we are having a machine talking to a machine, so we have a human talking to a machine, or we can have a machine talking to a human. So we have the four possibilities supported by this model. So how does it work? More or less, it's something that I have already said. It receives a communication item, which is a portable avatar, and it produces descriptors. If the input is analog, we have an audiovisual scene, and what is received, and it produces the audiovisual scene descriptors. Then this information is processing, is understood, essentially it's analyzed, and several data like personal status, meaning, and spatial information are provided. Then we have the entity dialog process that, starting from the understood scene and the entity, provide the text of the response. And then we have the text of the response that is used to produce a translated response, and the personal state of display that simply generates a portable item, and the portable item is simply visualized and audiovisual data, or it's transmitted as a communication item. So let's see some of the technology that are enabling this standard. The portable avatar, it includes a lot of elements. Say, if we are in the metaverse, the idea of the metaverse, the idea of the avatar, what is the time and the place. Avatar is another data type that includes several other data by itself. Then what is the language that is used? The text, the speech, and the personal status. So all this, but this is not the end, because we also have the descriptors of the audiovisual scene. So we have all the data that concern the avatar, and we also have other data that describe the audiovisual scene in which the avatar can be immersed. Then we have the personal status. As I said, it's like emotion, but it's more comprehensive data type because it includes all the cognitive state. It describes how much do I know the things that I'm talking about? And social attitude is something that describes what a stance should I take vis-a-vis my interlocutor. Um, then we have a data object, which is another important thing. Unfortunately, we don't have to talk more about this, but essentially, it's something that describes more about the data. It's not just a simple data. You can say what is the format, what is the metadata. I mean, all this is conveyed by this qualifier thing, which is another MPAI standard, which is here. It contains a subtype. For instance, is this black and white or color? This is just an example of what a subtype can be. The format, for instance, it has been compressed, or it is in a file, or it is streamed. So all that information is conveyed there, and attributes. It gives more semantic information about the data. So here we are going to analyze one by one the AI modules, as we call them. So we have the AV integration and the scene integration and descriptors that receives a portable avatar and provides and emerges the avatar in a scene, so that as the output we have a scene. We have audiovisual basis in description, which, receives, say, speech, audio, visual object, and space-time information, of course. And all this is converted into another audiovisual basic scene. Then we have communicating entities in content. This is quite complicated, but this is really the core of everything, in the sense that, okay, now we have this audiovisual scene descriptors. Very well. So first of all, we have to demultiplex, because the descriptor is a collection of data. It has a very clear syntax, but it can be demultiplexed. And it can go to body descriptors, face descriptors, and any speech object that comes from the scene. It can also handle text, and we can also have the visual scene geometry and the audio scene geometry. So this is what we receive. Then we can recognize what is in the speech, and we have the recognized text here, or we can have an identification of an object. We have a visual object. So, okay, what is this? What is this object? So the machine needs to know what is this object. So we give the ID. The ID conveys all the information that is needed, and same for the audio. Then we have another element that's called natural language understanding, that essentially works on recognized text and is helped by all this other information. The result is the meaning. I mentioned this several times, and we have something that is refined text, because what you get from the automatic speech recognition is not necessarily 100% what is conveyed by the speech, and so we have this two data. We can also use the refined text to translate text from text to text. And then with these visual scene geometry, visual instance ID, audio scene geometry, and audio instance ID are all data that are passed to the next. So now we are analyzing more, because you've seen that this communicating entities in context is an AI module, but the AI module contains other AI modules, in particular the audiovisual scene visual object identification. And here it says how an object is identified. For instance, we have a human pointing their finger to an object and saying, I'm referring to that object. And so here is the chain of AI modules that eventually gives the ID of the object that is meant. the personal status extraction is another very complex AIM, but but the structure is simple because you take, say, text or speech or face or body, and first you describe. There are technologies to describe these elements, and then you interpret, and then you get the personal status of that particular medium, say text or speech or face or gesture. And all this is multiplied into something that is called personal status. The entity dialog processing essentially produces text and personal status. Be careful that this personal status is something that is artificially created. The entity dialog process understands all this information that's provided here, and based on that, not only provides a response, but also the emphasis, the emotional element. I mean, all these elements that are inside and somehow are conveyed by the response. This because well, first of all, we use this to make a translation, because we said that this is context. Context is what sets the terms of the communication. And so we have another AIM that performs a translation from text to text. And then we have the personal status display that essentially receive text and receive personal status. Based on that, it synthesizes an avatar expressed as a portable item. There are the elements here. You will see there is a speech model. Speech model is a neural network that can be used by the text-to-speech AI module here to create a synthesized speech, which is the machine speech because it starts from the machine text, uses the speech model, and provides the machine text. Then we have the audiovisual scene rendering, which is the very last step, in the sense that you see here that we can receive a scene, or we can just receive one avatar. But the avatar needs a lot of information, which call together portable avatar. Then we can also decide from where do I want to see everything. And you pass it to this AI module here, and you get the speech, audio, and visual in response. So let me make a summary of what I have said. This standard specifies a human and to machine communication system, but it's also machine to human communication system. It is made of components. It's not a big system. It's made of components. The components are reusable, and they are reusable because there is this AI framework and the subdivision in workflows and modules that enables this reusability. Then this environment enables dynamic configuration, initialization, control the workflow. Then we specify the data, and they are data of two types: data that are related to audiovisual and text, of course, and this communication item, which is the portable avatar. So these are the two forms of input-output data. Then we have the AI modules. You have seen that we have very simple, just one box, or very complex modules, and we call them AI composite AI modules. And they are specified in terms of the function they perform and the input and output data. From an implementation viewpoint, it's important to say that you don't have to implement everything. You can decide not to expose a certain interface and not to expose a certain data. But in that case, of course, explainability of the system becomes more difficult to achieve. And the intention of all this is that by having this component-based integration of system, we want to help the generation of a market of AI modules. Two words about the technical specification. It is published here at this link. And, this is not you don't find a PDF, or you can also find PDFs, by the way. But, the essential thing is that the standard is a series of web pages. We have one per chapter, and it is, we have one page for the AI workflow, and contains links to all the AI modules and the data types that are used by the workflow. Then we have one page for each AI module, and it includes links to AI modules and the data types used, and a composite AIM is linked to all modules and data types used. And then there's one page for each data type, and there are quite a few. There are over 50 data types that are involved in the system, and the number of AI modules is more or less of the same order. So this is really the legal nature of the standard that we have developed and we are offering to the industry. Now, as a conclusion, I am happy to invite you and join us to University of MPAI, working on MMC and many other, as you have seen, exciting project that we are working on. So this is the link on how you can join MPAI, and here you will see our motto, which is share the fun and build the future. Thank you very much for your attention.